Hammer, why does the NBA love for the Kings and the Warriors to play 15 times before Christmas and not actually on Christmas?
It's absolutely wild. I don't know. I mean, we saw it last year. The Kings and Warriors played what 3 times in the first 9 games.
Yep.
This year we got 3 times in the first month of the season, pretty much, give or take a couple of days. And to me, it's crazy. I would think that you would want to spread it out because these are conference foes, right? And I kind of wish they would do this with anyone who is in your division, right? Break it up so you play, like once a month or whatever it might work out to be. If you don't have to do a bunch of back-to-backs and stuff like that, I don't get it because it's a bad sample size. Like I would like to see the Kings face the Clippers in October, November, in December, in January, in March, in April. Like mix it up so you actually get a better feel for the teams as they sort of like develop throughout a season.
Yeah.
But overall, it is what it is. I mean, you play the schedule that's in front of you, and I think I haven't gone through the finer nuances of the schedule yet, but it's something I will do in the next like 24 hours.
Do you think that I don't know, do you think that benefits the Kings at all, or we kind of passed that? I think they're a good team, but you get the Warriors or a Warriors like team early in the season, where they haven't got their legs under them. They're maybe slow starters or older guys that try to get a feel to get their way into the season. Could it benefit them that they play the Warriors that many times that early?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could. I mean, it really does depend on who the Warriors are and who they come out and play like early in the season. I think the Kings have an advantage over a lot of teams because, like, look, they are running it back. Like in their rotation, there might be like 1.5 players that didn't play for this team at the end of last season, and so that's a big deal. Like this team should have continuity. They should have an understanding of who should be where at what point and what rotations will look like and all that stuff where some of these other teams, I mean, you're throwing Chris Paul into the mix. We have no idea what Chris Paul is going to look like on the Golden State Warriors. All I can tell you is that team looks really slow and methodical, especially when they backed him up to Corey Joseph. Like this is a very veteran team that should know how to play together. But, I think it does. Like they might be a better team in March and April like they were last year than they were early in the season.
You're a professional, James. You don't often get caught up in the fan hoopla stuff, but is there a particular game you're looking forward to, or maybe a player like I texted you earlier about the Spurs game? I'm looking forward to seeing Victor Wembanyama in person for the first time. Is there anything like that you're looking forward to this year?
Yeah, I think I want to see Wembanyama. I also think I want to see Paolo Banchero in year two.
Mm.
Against Keegan Murray because I think that's gonna be a good battle for the next decade in the NBA. I want to see the Kings and Lakers because I really do think the Kings have an opportunity early in the season to put their foot down and say, look, we won the Pacific last year and we're going to be a team that's competing again. Outside of that, I don't know. I mean, Scoot Henderson is going to be fun to watch, and I always like seeing the up and coming young guys roll through town, especially the first time where you kind of get to see them in person and live and see their athleticism. So that's a big one. I also, all of the games against OKC. I think the Kings and OKC have had really strong battles over the last couple of years. Like that's a team that like has a never say die mentality, and now they've got enough talent to actually compete. So that's a team I'd like to see. And then I think opening night is always special. Opening night, they're going to open at the Delta Center, which it's now the Delta Center again in Utah. So that's cool. And then you come back a couple of days later, you play the Golden State Warriors at home. You play the Los Angeles Lakers at home. Like the first 3 games of the schedule, we should have a good feel about how this team looked at last season and looked at the beginning of last season and whether or not they made the required changes and adjustments to make sure they get off to a good start this year.
Yeah, I like all those matchups that you talked about. seeing those guys. I want to see like Houston. I want to see what they're looking like with the young guys mixed with with Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet and
Ime Udoka.
Ime Udoka as well.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
there's some different ones, but obviously the Warriors is the one. What does it say anything to you about the potential rivalry or the way the NBA looks at the Kings? Where no, they didn't put them on Christmas, but they made sure the first two times maybe they play another time, but two of the early times they played this year, they're having it on national TV on ESPN.
Yeah, I think it says a lot. I think everybody wants to see that series. You brought up the Rockets too. From what I know, game like 5 and 6 of the season are the Rockets, or game 6 and 7.
Hmm.
So the
A little
Kings will
two-game
play.
set, maybe.
Yeah, they'll play at Golden State, then they'll fly to Houston, and they'll play 2 games in 3 nights against the Rockets, then come back for Portland and OKC. And I'll say that
Didn't
too,
that happen
like
last year?
They
Wasn't that
play,
the baby?
yeah.
The rain?
They
Isn't that when
played
rain was
2
born?
game sets against Houston last year.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Houston's one of those teams where it's right in the middle, so once you get all the way if you're a West Coast team, once you get there, you kinda wanna wrap it up, like, play as many as you can in that area. They used to do, sort of like a 5 game, you have Dallas, you have San Antonio, you've got the Rockets, you got the Pelicans, and you've got, the Thunder all right there in that. And so you can kind of go to that area of the country and, like, play a bunch of games in a row and not have to travel all that far. That would be nice to see, but I like the 2 games against Houston, especially while Houston is still growing into who they're gonna be. I think getting Houston twice early is a good thing because I think, like, sometime during this season, Houston could actually be pretty solid and start to take off a little bit. I don't know that they'll be a team that I worry about competing for a playoff spot, but I certainly think that they're gonna be better than they have been in past years, especially since they invested in veterans this offseason. So, I think that's pretty cool, but, like, looking at the schedule, there's a lot of winnable games early on. Like, you need to get off if you're the Kings and you wanna compete for a high level playoff spot, you need to get off to a fast start.
You talking about Houston there, Hammer. You mentioned the Delta Center and opening up against Utah. Kenny and I were just talking about as we look back on a couple of Utah games from this last year, both classics. Most recently, we were talking about the December 30th game at the Golden One Center. But what do you think about Utah?
Yeah, Utah is confusing. I mean, I think they're confusing themselves too. They have an opportunity to be good, right? Because they were good last year before they decided to kind of pull the plug on the season. But again, they brought in a major piece in John Collins. They're going to have some adjustments. Like, that's going to be a tough team. You don't walk in there and think you're just going to roll over the Utah Jazz. It's always a rough place to play. But I'll say this: it's something that I usually look for. Usually, the NBA kills the Kings, and they have them play in Utah one night, and then fly home or fly somewhere else for a back to back. And that's not the case because they're opening in Utah and then they have a day off and then they play Golden State. I think that's a good thing too because that's one of the worst travel cities to get in and out of, and it's a trip that like takes your legs out because you play it elevation and then you come back down the hill and you got to play the next night. It's usually pretty rough. So I like Utah. I think that they're probably a team that I would put at the back end of the playoffs to play in, maybe a little bit better than a play-in team this season. But I don't know that I'm fully bought in on the Jazz.
I only went to Utah's airport one time, and it looked like 1993. It's like they haven't done any
Yeah,
upgrades.
Utah hasn't left.
Yeah.
They're still in 1993. I've been to
Yeah.
Utah. Still 1993 there.
Yeah, we've talked about this. Like the flight into Utah is sketchy because it's way up high and then it's like kind of in a little valley, and your descent is very quick to get into Utah. It's one of my least favorite places to fly into.
Is Utah a hub? What I feel like Denver's a hub.
Denver,
well,
Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Utah is not a hub,
No.
right? Okay. I don't know why I've flown through Salt Lake City so many times.
There was a long time where it was very difficult for beat writers to get to and from Sacramento from Utah or to Utah from Sacramento.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, the one of the things, Hammer, refresh my memory on this because I think I remember this is what you would say. The Kings possibly getting a lot of home games at the end of the season is also a bit of a sign of respect, right? Because I think it wasn't a theory, it was just kind of what you noticed with your time being in the league, is the bad teams usually have like bad road trips towards the end of the season. And it seems like nothing's official yet, but it seems like the Kings might have avoided that this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're right around like they're 50-50 split in the month of April. But I will tell you that most of their TV games, their big time TV games, are in the last 2 months of the season, and it's something I'll point out. Like they have a whole bunch of games in December, especially at home, which is typical for them. I don't know why they always have a bunch of home games in December, but none of their nationally televised games are in December, which I think is very strange. And then when we start seeing more and more in January and February, but we get to March and April, like I have them at like 3 or 4 games in April that are nationally televised, and that's substantial. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I'll point to make sure fans understand that if you're not good or the team you're not good, the team you're playing is not good in March and April, there's a good chance you could lose those nationally televised games just because that's the way the league goes. But I don't see any like highly questionable ones like what we saw last year. So the Kings one like major ESPN game, right, was against the
Houston,
Houston
I think.
Rockets.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in January when Houston was no good and everyone knew they were no good and you lost your game. Well, I got the Kings playing Golden State twice, Lakers, Spurs, Suns, Clippers, Lakers again, Mavs, Clippers again, Pelicans, and Suns. So, like, there's a good shot you're going to get to see a lot of those. And then, like, my first initial count is 10, uh, 10 nationally televised games. And, I think it's 5 TNT, 4 ESPN, and only 1 NBA TV. So that's a high sign of respect. But there's a hidden 11th game, which like I'm not seeing on some of the scheduling stuff that I've seen.
It's an
But
Easter egg. You gotta find
yes.
it.
Well, it's part of the in-season tournament. There's a Friday night against San Antonio that is televised on ESPN. Like one of the games for the end season tournament is supposed to be on November 17th, the Kings versus at the Spurs. Yeah. So interesting stuff.
Yeah. So you didn't even count that in the 10 with the Spurs?
No, because it's like again, like the things that I've seen doesn't have that as one of the games. But then if you sort of cross over the two things, the two schedules, you can come up with some extra stuff there.
Hammer, how do you feel about the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament? Does it go on the Wikipedia page? Is it an accomplishment?
We're going to have to wait and see. Like, I want to see what it looks like and what it feels like when it's actually happening and how the players respond to it. Because if the players don't respect it, then it won't be around very long. And, I think someone said the other day, like, that it's possible that it could be called like the David Stern Cup, but they want to make sure that it actually sticks before they name it that. I'm not sure who it was that said that.
Yeah, that would be terrible to have the David Stern Cup and then it is gone next year.
Yeah. So I want to see how the players embrace it. I like the format of playing in season and actually having games matter in October, November, where I think a lot of teams don't respect those games. But those are now seeding tournament games. And I kind of like the Kings schedule in those games. What do they have? They have OKC, they have the Spurs, they have the Warriors, and they have one other, and I can't remember what Minnesota. Yeah. So like of all the 4 teams that you could face, I mean, it could be worse. Like your path to like a solid seeding could be worse. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm okay with it. Like I watch a lot of European soccer and they have their cups all the time and they take breaks for major tournaments and stuff. And I think it's okay. I just know that the NBA has always been so regimented on an 82 game schedule and it just like flies at you. Like when you're in the middle of a season, The players feel it, we feel it, the coaches feel it. Like there is no breath. Like once it starts, it's every day it feels like, or every other day, and you're just bombarded. And so we'll see if the players even really think about it, or if it's just an afterthought until we get to that like 2 or 3 game stretch where they start doing the elimination round.
And as the players can buy into it or not. If Budweiser buys into it, it'll be here forever.
Well,
Like that's who needs to buy into it.
Well, that's the second Adam Silver call. Like, hey, you're not taking this seriously. We just got a $1 billion sponsorship for it. You're going to take it seriously, or I'm going to find a way to suspend you.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Greg Popovich. It's literally just him and Greg Popovich in a room alone.
Yeah.
Pop, you have to play Victor Wembanyama on Fridays and Tuesdays.
And you know what? I mean, I think they should take it seriously. I mean, when the games are, they're Tuesday and Friday.
Yeah.
Like you said the other day, if you want to sit somebody, sit them on a Wednesday, sit them on a Sunday or something like that. Make sure these guys play in these games. And if I was a player, I'd want to play. I'd want to win the NBA Cup. I know it's not the NBA Finals, but I want to. If it's a championship that can be won, I want to win it.
Yeah, I also think that there's a way to incentivize this thing where maybe you do make like I don't want to give someone an automatic playoff bid for it, but I certainly would consider an automatic play-in bid for it. Like, I think even if you got like the team from the East and the team from the West that make it to the finals, you could give like one of them like a higher seed than the other, like for winning the thing. But I still would think that it would help to like incentivize it by actually making it worth something outside of a couple $100,000 each.
Guaranteed home court.
Okay, Bud Selig.
Oh, there you go.
Real games.
Well, that's true.
Yikes.
James, that's all great. I said the one thing that could potentially kill this whole thing is if someone like the Rockets won. Like if a non-playoff team winds up winning the in-season tournament, I think it's going to be difficult to get people on board for it the following years. Meaning fans, meaning sponsors, I'm sorry, the 25 and 40-something Rockets won the all right.
They're dancing in the streets of Houston.
I think it'd be interesting. Like you could find other ways to incentivize it. So like how about the winner gets an extra roster spot in the playoffs?
That's
something like that.
That's interesting.
You know what the teams will like is the teams get some cap relief or something. the front office, they go all out and they say, hey, you get $10 million of cap room.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay, but what if they made like an exception? So this is a good idea, Kenny, because what if you made yeah, what if you made it the cup, the cup exception, and maybe you did give a $10 million, like what it amounted to like a trade or a player like you could sign like an exception in the middle of the season and make it really universal, almost like a wild card where if you needed to throw into a trade, it doesn't have all of the other barriers that like a trade exception would have. I don't know that.
I got it. Loser gets James Harden.
Oh,
you talk about trying. You talk about going all out. No, nobody want loser gets James Harden. Everybody playing hard.
Is that the toilet bowl though? The loser of the overall tournament? Yeah. No, I mean that's what we do in our league and our fantasy football league. If you are the loser of the toilet bowl, we have a secondary bracket. If you don't make the playoffs, you enter the toilet bowl, and if you keep losing in the toilet bowl, you get to the end, and then you got to bring all the drinks next year. Yeah.
Side note: did you guys see what the Giants announcers did for
Was that the bat? Yeah. The bat boy. That was pretty funny.
Had to be the bat boy.
That was pretty funny. That was good. That's a good bet. That's good
that
stuff.
Was some good stuff.
Did you guys see the stand up what is it, in the park home run today?
Oh, Oof. That was crazy. I did see that.
I missed it.
That was one of the crazier inside the parks you'll see.
It hit the brick wall, flew straight sideways, hit off the top of the wall, and then flew down the warning track and just rolled away from the outfielders. And I was waiting, like someone needs to make the the Flash guy that always races the people around. They need that because the dude didn't even have to slide home plate. He was safe by I don't know, a good 50 feet.
It hit the brick wall in right field and ended up in left center field.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, this was in the Giants game.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You see what I mean? If you had that dude in the race suit that always races a fan, it would be spectacular. That would be
this is incredible.
That's a crazy bounce.
Yeah.
He was just running the bases. He's just
not even a speed demon.
He doesn't even look fast. He comes to his home plate with a heavy foot. You're like, man, that one hurt getting all the way around, around the bases.
I've had like 2 or 3 really good inside the park homers there. Obviously, Angel Pagan.
That's a bizarre one.
That was a classic. But Ichiro hit one in the All-Star game. I remember that was a classic.
Good old
Oh my gosh, this is such a bizarre play.
The center fielder just falls. It goes by him at 90 miles per hour.
They don't teach you this at Little League camp. This is a tough one.
That stuff happens in Little League camp. It also happens in I've hit inside the park home runs in slow pitch softball, but yeah, that's a crazy one.
You got it.
Ramsey would say that happens at Oracle Park.
That's the Jordan Bird commercial from the 92 Olympics.
Yeah.
Off the wall, off the top of the wall, down past the center fielder.
Nothing but net.
Home run. Yeah.
Home run.
Nothing but net. Yeah.
Who'd they recreate that with? Was it Dwight and somebody?
Huh.
It was McDonald's. It was still McDonald's, but I think they recreated it with Dwight because Dwight was with McDonald's.
Sounds like Dwight.
Part of me wants to say it was Candace, but I don't remember if it was Candace or another NBA player.
Right. No, I'm gonna have to.
Oh, look it up. All of this is fun, James. It means we're getting closer to the season. The schedule release, the plan to make it an event. Like, I get it. In the end, does any of this really matter? If you got a good basketball team, does any of this matter?
Well, I'll tell you, there are bad schedules. Like, that's something like we've talked about in the past. Like, bad teams get bad schedules. And while you play 82 games and everyone plays the same people and everyone in your conference you play, everyone in your division you play 4 times, everyone in your conference you play at least 3 times, and everyone in the opposing conference you only play twice. That doesn't mean that all schedules were created equal. So, like, I remember walking into the locker room and Zebo just like sits down in his chair and he's like, what is with this schedule? And I think what he learned very quickly is that when you're in Memphis and sort of the middle of the country, it's a lot easier to hop to one edge to the other or up or down, as opposed to having to fly all the way across. And, West Coast teams spend more time on the road than anyone. And I certainly think for a team like the Kings in the past, you could see scheduling anomalies that cost them games. Like, there's no way to win this stretch of games. You're going to lose like 4 out of 6 or 4 out of 5. I mean, like, it really does have some components built into it that makes it almost like scheduled losses everywhere. But I don't know. I haven't gone through this one and sort of nitpicked it and like said, hey, this is where, this is a very bad stretch for the Kings.
McDonald's commercial was Dwight and LeBron, and they were just
LeBron
the whole time.
Okay.
They were just eating the whole time.
Yeah, LeBron with McDonald's. I don't remember that, but okay. Yeah, I'll go with it.
He's made money from a lot of people.
He has, and deservedly so.
Yep.
Yeah, the Lakers, I think it was the 29th of October. That'll be LeBron's first trip here this season. Will it be his last with the Lakers? Doom, doom, doom. Tomorrow on Undisputed with Skip. Is that show back yet?
It's on its way back, I think.
Oh, Lil Wayne's doing it. They got Lil Wayne.
No, he's like out every Wednesday, but Richard Sherman is the.
Oh, Rich is the main
host.
guy.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Richard Sherman.
Isn't Rachel Nichols supposed to be joining that show too?
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't know.
Sage Steele, she joining?
No, I'm pretty sure
Michelle
Rachel Nichols is though.
No, I think Rachel's back.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, good for Rachel.
Yeah.
Good for Rachel. All right. Let's come back. Talk more. We'll talk more Kings basketball. We'll talk more NBA basketball with our 1320 Kings insider and creator of the Kings Beat, James Ham, here on Sacramento Sports Leader. Steve McCasey on ESPN 1320. What's up, James?
Oh my goodness. I think they got what in the world? Okay.
Kings have traded for LeBron.
No, I just got an updated. Let me count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
I said
The Kings are playing every game on national television.
5, 6. Holy cow. They have the whole month of November, they're on national television. Okay, so
season. Wow.
7, 8, 9.
This is still November?
No, now December, there's 3 games. The original schedule that okay, this is different.
This Mac 10.
Let me keep counting. I'm at 9, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15, 16, 17, 18.
James, you stop it.
19, 20, 21, 22.
James, what are you counting?
No, that's cap. That's cap.
What are you counting right now?
Cap.
22
No way.
what?
22 games on national TV between ESPN, NBA.com, and NBA TV and TNT.
Stop it.
I'm just telling you that's what I'm seeing. Because the first one that I looked at had one NBA TV game. That's not the case any longer.
That actually makes a little more sense. I could see them being on NBA TV a lot.
How many more NBA TV games did they add? Can you see?
Well, yeah, I'll have to add them up because they're not. Holy cow.
Look, maybe they still have 9 national TV games. All of those are NBA TV games.
NBA TV games.
No. The
They now
NBA
have-
TV games are nuts.
They now have
already
13
counted
NBA TV games.
5, 6. That's crazy. 7, 8,
Wow.
Bebe says the whole world wants to see soccer.
9, 10, 11 NBA TV games.
Damn.
They just forgot to put the other one next to it.
What
Oh
in
no,
the
not
world
one, James, 11.
just happened?
So you have the 9 and the 11. So 2 more were added somewhere else to TNT and ESPN, right?
Well, James had said he didn't.
Well, it was 10 and 11.
He said he didn't have the Spurs game before.
Yep.
That's one, and there's another one.
Oh, there's the floating one.
Mhm.
Yes.
Or whatever it was. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there's our
What in the
return.
world? What in the world? I did not expect this type of schedule. There's a week in November.
Wait till the third one comes in. They're all home games. Every game is at the Golden One Center.
There's a week in November. NBA TV on Monday against Cleveland. ESPN on Wednesday against the Lakers. ESPN on Friday against the Spurs. And I believe that Lakers game. Nope, both of those were there before.
That is lit.
I see you, Jesse, with the little set mode reminder in there. I see you. I know what that means now. I didn't used to know what that means, but now I do.
What in
I
the
know.
world?
I know what it means now.
Damien knows how to run a board now. We're all set.
Fingers crossed, buddy. That's crazy, Hammer. Well, that's what we'll come back with.
This is some high drama. It is some high drama.
Showtime Kings.
High drama ahead of the schedule release. Oh, that is a beautiful backdrop for her.
I'm just going to count again while we're here.
Keep counting, James. We're coming back. There is drama developing ahead of the NBA schedule release.
The business is picking up.
It turns out they may have left out a number. They may have left out a number in the Kings nationally televised games. James was flabbergasted during that entire commercial break as he received an updated schedule. I'm trying to give James peace because he's counting. It right now, okay, it depends on how you feel about NBA TV.
You know, I mean, the people in the world see it without having a league pass.
But it does not appear that the Sacramento Kings have 10 nationally televised games. It appears they have double that.
22.
20. Okay, James. The Sacramento Kings. Now, this is for. By the way, for those on the radio, this isn't. We're not trying to be funny. This isn't a joke.
This
James,
isn't a bit.
James, this is not. I know it's hard to tell with us sometimes. This is not a bit. James just.
Have you seen heart condition?
James just received an updated schedule, and James was going over this thing, and he was just like, "Oh my god!" And he kept getting like louder and more animated. And right now, the day started with 10 national television games for the Sacramento Kings, and you have that number at what now?
22.
22 nationally televised games for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah. So the way when I looked at the schedule, the first thing that I saw had 5 TNT games, 4 ESPN games, and 1 NBA TV game.
Mm-hmm.
That schedule was missing the one that we know is an ESPN game against the San Antonio Spurs as part of the in-season tournament. So there should have been 5 ESPN and 5 TNT.
Okay.
There are now an additional 10 NBA TV games on an updated schedule that I have seen. And yeah, I don't know what to say. That to me, and then there's one extra game that I did not have before, like a TNT or something. So
because so if there's 10 more NBA TV games, that still leaves 2.
Well, no, if there's 10 more, that puts the NBA TV number at 11.
Yep.
Oh, because
so that leaves one. That leaves the one that James was referring. Because that
here I go with math again.
That puts us at a total of 21 plus the one that James had. Like we don't know what it is.
I don't know which game it is, but
now,
I'd have to go through.
And I think you were saying there was a week in November where every game is on national television, counting NBA TV.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. First game is the Cleveland Cavaliers against, it's on NBA TV. The other 2 are on ESPN against the Lakers and Spurs.
That's dope.
Let's go, baby. Come on, man. Come on,
That's really dope, man.
Come on, man.
That's dope. You know, one of the things that I do think about with the NBA and like putting the Kings on NBA TV is they're probably happy to have another team that they can put on there. Obviously, you've got the Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, but you couldn't put the Kings on there for so long. Now they can justify, hey, this 7:30 game, because they like to do doubleheaders and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you left out another team out west.
That's what I meant. Yeah, exactly. So they saw that opportunity. They hopped on it.
Well, I think the other thing is that, like what we were talking about, they hedged
their bet a little bit. Put them on early, just in case. Put them on early.
I think that this is a very, very balanced like television schedule for them. So as opposed to having it all at the end of the season, which a lot of it looked like earlier, you know, in April and March, where you run the risk of things kind of falling apart. And you losing some of those games, well, that's not going to happen this year. I mean, that's not what is being banked on, at least from what I can tell.
The other team they
So-
probably took some games away, some West Coast games away from is probably Portland.
Yeah.
Portland was on there a good amount, in the last few years, and
Yeah, it was clear from the Cup, the in-season thing that we got. Like Portland didn't have it. Portland was one of the teams that didn't have a. They're banking on Dame being in Miami,
or he just ain't playing,
not in Portland. Yeah,
or he's
Well-
a Portland Trailblazer that just ain't playing.
well, I hope it doesn't come to that.
I hope not either.
I hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, it's
James
wild.
is still counting. James wants no part of this show anymore. James is trying to figure out. James is texting Adam Silver right now. Hey, sir, are you sure this is correct?
No, I'm waiting for that text. Like, what are you looking at? Yeah. And I know nothing.
I don't know
Uh,
nothing about nothing.
M McNair is calling James right now. He's gonna have to. James is gonna have to call us back. Gonna have to call
Wild.
us back.
That's
That's exciting,
pretty
man.
cool,
That's
It
great.
really is.
That's I mean, NBA TV, but that's fine. That's it's exciting for the Sacramento Kings. It's exciting for Kings fans. The two TNT games, they were obviously extraordinary on.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox, even in the games that they lost in the playoffs was extraordinary, and I think every one of those games was in some form of prime time, and that just means we're winning like 70 games this year.
That's all it means.
That's all it
70
means.
games.
Just Kings 74-8, and they told
Can't
the
wait.
truth.
They told the truth.
It also opens a door for, maybe a few more national guys to actually watch a larger sample size of the team.
That'd be crazy.
It's not
And
gonna
it opens a door for your star point guard and star center to actually maybe get some of the accolades and be seen by a larger audience that should have seen them in the past. So I think this is it's stunning. And I'm going to have to sit here and count like 17 times to make sure I'm right. But I already counted it twice, and I don't think I'm incorrect with my count. I'd written them down first, and now I've got a new list that I've got to create next to it.
So I'll say this, and I've said it before, and being fair, we complain about, how they boost up other players and want them to do, big things or whatever. I do believe the NBA is ready to put a rocket on De'Aaron Fox's back. Like, I think they are looking at him and like, man, if he can come through the same way he did last year, we're going to put him in the forefront of a lot of the things we do in the NBA. I think they got him in position. All he's got to do is produce, and the team has to win. But I think the way they gave Ja a push after he made the playoffs, I think they want to do the same thing with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, it's a good call.
I'll tell you this too. Today, Richard Jefferson has a video that was put out on social media where it's a created video by the NBA where he's explaining the in-season tournament. And one of the stars of his of the B-roll of his explanation is De'Aaron Fox. And so, I do think that the NBA is putting more and more value into the Sacramento Kings for this season. And it's crazy, but maybe they'll actually be able to live up to it and show what everybody missed last year and build on what they did.
A couple of things. James, start with this. Does that put a little extra pressure on Sacramento?
I think in theory, if the more games you get, the less pressure. So if you only get 7 games, then that's one thing. And I'll also tell you, playing on national TV, it actually is a really good testing ground and learning experience for when you get to the playoffs. And it's something that I talked to you guys about a couple of times. Teams that get to the playoffs the first time, they're not used to any of it. And that includes these super long television breaks and all of this weird stuff that comes with being part of a national audience. And if you get 20 something games to go out there and get used to it, that actually it's a very good thing for the Sacramento Kings.
Damn lights.
One more quick follow-up, because it's about what you guys were just talking about, De'Aaron, and something you said, Casey, got my attention when you were talking about the NBA and NBA TV. Probably thrilled to have another team on the West Coast, and we're talking about kind of strapping the rocket ship to De'Aaron Fox. Well, look across the West Coast. Portland is done, right? You have the two Los Angeles teams who are kind of aging. You know, you lose LeBron James, the Lakers are going to be a little bit different. Of course, the Lakers are always going to be a team that's regularly on national television. The Clippers aren't. You know, the Clippers are in very much a they've got to do something year. You've got extensions due for Paul George. You've got extensions due for Kawhi Leonard. That could wind up going in a direction where the Los Angeles Clippers are in a completely different place that they haven't been in for the last decade. And while I don't believe the Golden State Warriors are finished, I still think that's a very high caliber basketball team. That's also a team that's getting older. Their star is aging. The biggest stars on the West Coast are aging. You go up to Portland, he's leaving. You head over to Phoenix, with the exception of Devin Booker. That group's pretty old. And then you come here to Sacramento. You realize, maybe we better get people on board with this De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. These dudes are in their 20s. Kevin Huerter's in their 20s. Keegan Murray, had an incredible rookie season. I know we had a conversation about most improved player, this upcoming year. We need to get people familiar with this Sacramento team, because this could be a team that they're watching out west for the next 5 years, when some of these other teams might be fading away a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too. Like, if you look at it, it's 2 against the initial list I have. It's 2 against the Warriors, 2 against the Lakers, 2 against the Suns, 2 against the Clippers, and then Mavs, Spurs, and Pelicans. The Mavs and Pelicans games both at Golden One Center.
Oh, yeah, we about to turn up for that Mavs game. We about to turn up. We don't care about no Luka.
Yeah. So I think it's good. Yeah, what you're seeing is that they're putting the Kings on equal footing with some of these other teams. That if you're gonna show up and just win the Pacific Division, then we probably need to take care of you and actually put you out there for other people to see.
2 things. Just a little cross reference or whatever. I looked. The Blazers had 15 national TV games last season. So they might have took all 15 and gave them to the Kings this year. The only one you get is they might have one, and that's Scoot versus Wembanyama.
Yeah, because you're not going to put Scoot versus Brandon Williams out.
Brandon Miller.
Miller out there. Yeah, you're not. I just don't think that has no one wants to watch Charlotte.
Yeah, Portia. Well, Scoot versus
LaMelo. They didn't have any national TV games either in the in-season tournament, right? Charlotte. I don't think they did either. Okay. I'm not a Steve Clifford. I've said it. I don't understand Steve Clifford. And I really don't understand Steve Clifford with that basketball team. But come on, man. Like, LaMelo all year? I like Brandon Miller. PJ Washington's a good player. Like, I'm not suggesting this is a juggernaut.
Gordon Hayward.
They get a star on League Pass.
Scary Terry.
Let me know when they're playing. Well,
PJ Washington.
Okay.
And
PJ Washington is still unsigned.
Yeah, that's right. PJ Washington.
He may have to play for the tender, and the same thing with Bridges. Like, the Bridges situation.
Well, Bridges signed it. I think Bridges signed it, didn't he?
Well, there was word that he was going to sign it. I don't know if he actually did.
No, I think he did. He did a press conference.
He did do a press
conference. Bridges did a press conference. I think he signed it. He's good. But PJ hasn't. PJ's still looking for $20 million a year. And in PJ.
Somebody tell PJ it's August 6th.
Now, by the way, PJ, I read the reports. I understand why you're looking for $20 million a year. You're probably not getting it this year, buddy.
Yeah.
Sign that tender. Do what you do next year.
The other thing about all these national TV games, shout out to the NBA. 7:30 starts. Let's go, baby.
Let's go. No.
Let's go. 7:30 starts.
Let's go. Not okay with that.
I'm not either.
I'll be furious.
What do you mean I'll be? That's what it is.
I'm moving to Portland with PDX. If they start these 7:30 starts, PDX will hire me out there. Jesse, I'm going to zoom you in for the meeting.
TNT started 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I ain't doing it. Come on, man. Don't do these 7:30 starts.
Oh, man. I don't see any of that at all.
We have 2 jobs.
I'm just saying that's what happens when you're on national TV. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just telling, I see very, very few. They're all 7 o'clock starts for the most part.
Good.
That's
I can the way it should be. Start them at 5.
Well,
don't
down,
do that. Don't
San
do that.
Francisco Giants. They're out there playing at 6 nowadays.
Are they really? Like, regularly?
6:45.
Okay, I saw that and I was confused by it.
Didn't we say that the
like no one's coming anyways?
The Warriors had 44 nationally televised games last year. That's something like that. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I'm sure it's going to be around that number again this year.
Mhm.
I think as long as Steph Curry's in uniform, it's going to be. Now, something happens to Steph. Don't want that to happen. Knock on this desk.
No.
They'll just, Warriors have been moved off of prime time and taking the league pass.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a high number again. Lakers number will be high. Celtics number will be high. Will the Bucks?
The Bucks will be high.
Okay.
Because I mean,
will Denver?
They got to get some East Coast games in there.
Will your Nuggets be high?
If the Kings are, and we'll include NBA TV. If the Kings are at
Your
22,
Nuggets.
I got the Nuggets at like 30, 35.
Nobody want to watch that.
That's funny.
Except James.
Your
I
Nuggets.
want to watch
the
pause. James hit me with a pause and didn't even know it.
Oh, that's funny.
The other good thing about that I like, these are little things that we look for as Kings fans and Kings supporters and people that follow the team, is the fact that they're having these games early in November shows me, hey, they're trying to drum up interest for the league. They look at the Kings as a part of that. They look at the Kings as an exciting team. I'm sure, I don't know, I don't want to speculate, but they got a lot of games probably in Sacramento in that November range. And you want to put on, they know we're not going to be asleep waiting for football season in. They know from the start, the Sacramento crowd is going to be a good atmosphere and something that jumps off the screen to help their product. So they got a lot of November games that way.
It's wild.
James just keeps looking at this email.
James ain't never gone through this. He ain't never gone through this. Am I right, James?
No, that's true.
Yeah.
No. And all my time covering this team, I mean, like if they get one like full-fledged TNT game, you're like, what? And then usually they take that game away. And then last year they took one away, but they gave them one. And then I think they gave them an extra late in the season. But even last year, I mean, how many TNT games? I mean, I think they had a total of 5, right? 5, including NBA TV games. And that number shrunk.
Nets Knicks. I don't remember the NBA TV.
They gave them they gave them Knicks Kings.
Yeah.
They took away Rockets Kings.
They took away the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was supposed to be, and now I don't know if that was supposed to be my Mark Jones calling a Kings game on ESPN. Now I don't know if that's going to happen.
I think they'll do it though.
With Mark and Hubie, that'd be great if Hubie was
schedule.
there.
They'll be like, just stay home.
That'd be great.
Mark.
Well, they're cheap enough to do that.
Does he travel all the way to Sacramento though? I don't think Hubie's
Hubie.
That trip. Yeah.
I don't know where Hubie stays. Do you?
I thought he was in the middle of the country.
I thought
I feel like Hubie will go. I feel like Hubie will come to Sacramento.
I was thinking he's in the Memphis area still,
That's
but maybe I'm wrong.
They threw that.
Vivek will send the plane for Hubie.
Send Drake's plane.
Yeah, I knew you.
Drake's plane.
Hi, Drake.
Hi, Drake. I'm Hubie.
The reason why I say that is, didn't they use Drake's plane one time?
Yes,
they did.
Once. Like you bring it up like it's just parked at the Sacramento Executive Airport. They literally used it once.
That was for India.
It all traces back to India.
It does.
In
all things
one way or
back to
the
India.
Kings are getting all of these national TV games as a reward for the India trip. It all comes back to that India trip.
Very true.
The other thing about what you were saying, we were trying to figure out which games they put game number 9 on the top 25 on NBA TV. Mavs Kings.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Kyrie. Yeah, the debut of Kyrie and Luka. Right.
There's still. I mean, depending on the Kings if they do really well, they can maybe add games throughout the season to NBA TV and ESPN and stuff like that. Shuffle some things around as the season goes along. That number is at 22. It could get up to 30.
Yeah, and even if you lose a couple of games, I don't think anyone's going to care because you got so many of them. So no, it's good. I mean, this is what you want. I did not expect this type of like first year response. Like you do, usually the NBA makes you prove that you can do more than 1 year. So no, I mean, it's great. I mean, this is exactly what the Kings need, exactly what the franchise needs. It is a revival, like this schedule in itself helps revitalize your franchise even a little bit more. It does. I mean, this is big. This is like you getting your name and your logo and your players and your owner and your fan base out there even more. And so I think it's great. It's good to see.
When do you think the the 16-year stuff and what this franchise was for so long. When do you think that that's completely in the rearview mirror?
Oh, I think this year. I think
You-
this year, like for the most part, it's not something that's going to be part of the equation. Like you might write it every once in a while. Well, after breaking the 16-year streak, the Kings did this last year, but that only lasts for so long.
Mhm.
Like DeMarcus Cousins used to ask me, well, why do you write about my technicals all the time? And I said, I'll make you a deal. You stop getting technicals and I'll stop writing about them.
Hmm.
And he laughed and I'm like, that's it. I have to put context in everything you do. And that's why we write about 16 years of not making the playoffs, because it was part of the context. Now, if it's no longer part of the context, I don't know how we keep writing about it. Once the season starts,
Mhm.
sure, there's going to be a little bit of that. Were they a flash in the pan, or were they a team that lasted or that had the 16-year streak? You got to get away from it a little bit, but
That's what I feel like November sounds like. Exactly what you just said right there.
Yeah.
For those early games, that's what I feel like from a national perspective. I feel like that's a lot of what we're going to hear for a month or two until it's like, okay, they started the season 8-9 games above 500 or something like that. Okay, they're a good basketball team, and maybe some of that stuff will go away. And I feel like it's actually going to take another year. It's going to take this season.
oh yeah,
Probably this postseason where it's like, okay,
Mhm.
that's over.
Mhm.
Like all of that stuff, the Vlades and the Pete Devils, that's all over. That's not referenced again the following season. But it's going to take, a follow-up performance to last year this season.
I agree. I think that's what all you got to prove it. You got to prove that you weren't just an aberration, that you're a team that's on the rise while a lot of other teams are on the decline. And that's not to like point fingers. It's just a reality. Like players don't get to play forever. LeBron James is going to be 40 this season or real close to it. Chris Paul, 38 years old. Like there are a lot of teams out there that are aging quickly, and the Kings are a team that's on the rise, and that's good.
Yeah, for sure, man. You got to establish yourself as a perennial playoff team.
Yeah.
That's what this year is about for me.
And De'Aaron's got to follow it up. The most overrated player in the league has to follow up the season he had last year.
Yeah.
It's wild. Doing this every game. Well, Domas had 22, 14, and 8. All right, man.
12 of 12 from the field today.
We was looking at the December 30th game where Kevin Huerter caught the pass from Keegan Murray and hit the 3 to beat Utah by 1. And yeah, Domas was 12 of 12 in that game.
Yeah.
He did not miss a basket.
Against
Utah. It was the game Monty McNair said that's when he realized, hey, I think we've got something here.
I mean, that's Walker Kessler, right? Like that's one of the best defensive centers in the league. I mean, I believe he played in that game, and
he was 5
good.
of 5 in that game. Yeah, he was very good in that game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, leading shot block. Well, I think second shot blocking. Yeah, he's good.
Domas did all that after Laurie Markham postered him.
Oh,
yeah,
Markham is so good.
Yeah. What did he have? I closed it. He had like 36 in that 36. Game. That's what led me to the question to you, James, about Utah. It's like I just feel like they got ball players here. Like I don't know what they're trying to do, but I like to make. I see the foundation is just they're going to trade marketing. They're going to do this. You got guys there. I just put it together.
I don't think they're trading anybody at this point. They're building. They're building right now. So okay. I would expect them to be, I think, like a 7, 8, 9 team.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I could see them around that. Yeah, for sure. Unless they do what they did last year, and we're cool. We're out.
We'll just give the Lakers everybody at the trade deadline.
Yeah, James. Go count again. Just count the number again. The schedule's getting released tomorrow, right? The schedule's getting released tomorrow, so we'll have all this. We'll have start times and all of that stuff. But great work from James Ham all day. Make sure you become a subscriber over at the Kings Beat. Go to thekingsbeat.com. Take care of that business right now. If you want